But as we see the advancements in AI, not only in how wide it's being used, but also we're seeing it advance in the depth. And so it is shoving us towards the mixing of man and machine, or iron and clay. And this is where we start getting to the creepy stuff. One of the most intertwined is organoid intelligence, which is becoming even more developed than it was already. This is something I've talked a little bit about. I really haven't talked too much about it, but I've seen a bunch of stuff come through with this. Now, around October of last year, 2022, a group, it is Monash University in Australia, created what they call DishBrain. That's unsettling. I don't know why they would call it that, which, I mean, that's what it is, but come on, call it something better than DishBrain. That's just creepy. DishBrain is 800,000 human and mice neurons grown in a culture dish that's connected to arrays of microelectrodes that allow the computer to read the brain cells and stimulate them with electrical signals. So, to try and make this a little bit easier, because I know that's a mouthful, they took an electrical array board, and then they took 800,000 human and mice neurons, little bits of brain stuff, and put that on the electrical array. And this thing attached itself to the array. These things attach themselves to the array. And what it does is the computer reads what the brain cells are sending, and the computer can also, because it's electrical array, can stimulate them with little electric signals to the neurons that are sitting on top. The Australian scientists managed to stimulate the brain dish, or the dish brain, enough for it to learn to play Pong within 5 minutes. So they managed to teach this hobgob of electrical parts and brain neurons, they managed to teach it to play Pong in 5 minutes. Using the arrays that both reads and stimulates, the scientists set up a moving electrical stimulus that told the dish which side the ball was on and where the paddles were. So how it would do it is on this electrical array, it would send little electrical signals to wherever the ball is going on the field, as well as electrical signals for where the paddle is. And so this brain would be able to recognize where the ball is and move the paddle to play Pong. It's disturbing. I'm not even going to pretend like this is cool, because it's not. This is you're starting to get into playing God territory, and that is not good. It's just not good. The dish was able to move the paddle left and right to play. Now, to train the dish brain, a simple reward and punishment system was set up. So it's like a dog, pretty much. If the dog does something good, you give it a treat. Dog does something bad, bonk it on the nose. If the dish hit the ball, it received a pleasant stimulus, basically saying good job. And if it missed it, it would receive a randomized stimulus, which the cells don't like, because if our brain always goes on a predictable pattern-like thing, it's always in a comfort zone whenever we do things in a pattern. It's something that we're familiar with. It always hits that comfort zone. But the brain doesn't necessarily like scrambled, randomized, unpredictable stimulus. I mean, there's some weird people out there that do. I'm not one of them. But it doesn't necessarily like that. So as a punishment, that would be a punishment for the cells. Now, if you want to see how all this looks, it's not bad, so you don't have to like look away. But here's a picture of the neurons that are growing on the electrical board. So you can kind of see like the square pattern, and then you can see what looks like really rocks and branches and vines and stuff. Those are the neurons. Those are the brain neurons, and it's laying on the on the electrical board. And so those little squares will give electrical stimulus to the neurons that are growing on top of the board. Now, because of the research and that organoid intelligence has a much, much, much higher ceiling than AI, the Australian National Intelligence and Security Discovery Research Grants Program. Again, these names, man. These names, I swear. So, because of the research and the ceiling that it holds, the Australian, we're going to go through this again, Australian National Intelligence and Security Discovery Research Grants Program issued a $407,000 grant to the research group. So now we've got the Australian government and the security group of Australian government that are now funding the organoid intelligence. I'm sure this is not the only government doing it. The goal is to increase the performance to be used in the BMI systems or brain machine index systems and robotics and advanced automation. So what they want to do is they're trying to develop this far enough to be able to be put into things like Synchron, BlackRock Neurotech, Neuralink, to put those things into those, as well as into robotics, as well as advanced automation. So they want to be able to utilize organoid intelligence in those things. How would you like it if you were to get a brain chip put into your head with somebody else's neurons on it? Doesn't that sound wonderful? That sounds ducky, doesn't it? Well, that's what they're trying to do. One of the professors, Professor Razi, who is the lead on the project, said this could lead to a breakthrough of machine learning and robotics to allow the machines to learn over an entire lifetime, like us. Because they are actual tissue, this would grant the ability for AI and robotics to be able to learn over a lifetime. We're getting into the point of watching robots grow up. That's what they're saying. Because it's a real brain tissue that's in it. It will grow up with the machine. They are literally so close to developing these robots to be human-like. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And they just talk about it like it's like their breakfast cereal they just ate for the morning. Oh, yeah. We're strapping brain tissue onto computers, and just like a human, they'll be able to learn over a lifetime. And I had Lucky Charms this morning. You know, it's just like, what? These people, man. Oh. Anyways. Now, another aspect that they're trying to hit on in this, and it's the connection of man and machine, is creating computer systems that are modeled after the human brain's design. So this isn't just strapping brain tissue onto an electrical board. Now what they're trying to do is develop a computer system that has the same architecture, the same design as the design that God gave us. So we know God created our bodies and he designed them a certain way because they function all in harmony. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to imitate what God designed in our brains and create a computer system designed exactly after the human brain. And this is called neuromorphic computing. No, I did not make that word up. This is real. It's called neuromorphic computing, and it will take a standard computing system, which keeps its CPU, which is the central processing unit, and it's separate from the memory. So your computer right now that you use, you have one chip that's your CPU, and you have one chip that's your memory. Well, what they want to do is they want to combine both of those things into the same chip, which is how our brains really work. Our memory and our processing is all in the same unit, really, to put it. So neuromorphic computing is taking the standard computing system and then basically reshaping it and creating something that matches the human brain. This will ultimately create an environment familiar to the brain tissue, like in the DishBrain. Say you take, that's just sitting on an electrical board. Now, if you take the neurons, the brain tissue that's in that dish, and you attach it to a computing system that matches what those brain tissues are used to, you now have a predictable environment for the brain tissue, which means they're going to be much happier and be able to be used better. See where we're going with this? By creating artificial neural networks, we're going to start getting into some technical stuff, so hang with me here. By creating artificial neural networks that mimic the way biological brains function, it can allow the computer to execute multiple operations simultaneously, just like our brains do. So a standard computer, you can tell it to do 5 things, but it has to go in order of when they're going to get those things done. It has to follow a programmed list, an input list, and it's going to go in that order and get them done. Our brains, however, can do multiple things simultaneously. We can breathe, walk, speak, process our sight, listen, and think all at the same time simultaneously. Like right now, I can process what I'm seeing, I can move my arms, breathe, think, speak, and listen all at the same time. My brain can do that, and it doesn't have to go into a list of inputs to do it. So like if our brain worked like a standard computing system, we would have to go breathe, process what I'm seeing, then I can speak, breathe, listen. I would have to go in order, but this is, they're designing a computer that can do exactly what our brains are doing, simultaneous processing. These neuromorphic computing systems also have the ability to learn from data and adapt over time. So here we go, learning over time, and it will simulate, it'll be similar to AI or organoid intelligence. So right now, if you take organoid intelligence or artificial intelligence, you can teach it to learn over time. Well, what they're trying to do that is with this neuromorphic computing, it'll be able to do that on its own. This will allow them to recognize patterns and information and make decisions on their own, unlike regular computers that need inputs by either a human or AI. So a computer, you can just sit it on the desk, and unless something is telling it to do something, it's not going to be able to do it. Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a computing system that can just do it on its own. Now, you might think that's artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a program. It's not a computer. They're trying to make a computer that will do this on its own. So it's kind of, they're trying to blend everything together, really. Now, the nodes within the artificial neural networks use short spikes or bursts of electrical activity that they can send to each other to allow them to communicate. So how the electrical board on the DishBrain worked is it would send little bursts of electrical activity to the neurons for them to do something. Well, this is a way for them in the computer to send them back and forth to themselves, allowing it to learn from other information that has been gathered by the computer. It's basically how our brains work. Because we'll learn one thing and then it sends it to the rest of the brain. Because these networks are stacked in layers and communication can jump layers, so they stack these artificial neural networks on top of each other, and they can jump from one layer to the other. Because they can do that, if one neural node is in the machine that learns new information, it can send it across the entire computer, allowing the machine to learn and actually improve its performance over time. So we basically have computers now that the moment you turn it on, it starts slowing down. It starts getting used up. It gets worse and worse over time. This computer is actually going to be able to learn and update itself over time and actually make its performance better. These neuromorphic computing systems will allow robotics to become more intelligent and perform complex things. This also includes more lifelike prosthetics, allowing their movement to be more natural and can match a human nervous system a lot easier. So right now, a lot of the stuff, sometimes the prosthetics don't necessarily match up with the nervous system of a human, and it can be kind of awkward sometimes if you're trying to move your arm or a leg, and sometimes it doesn't look as human. Well, with this computing machine, it'll actually match up more with like what our body works, like the brain. So prosthetics will be able to be much more natural. And again, we're seeing the melding of man and machine. Now, again, I was asked this question. Somebody had back surgery, and they put like a metal rod in there to make sure that it was good, and they were worried that they were taking part in the transhuman agenda. That's not what that is. I'm talking more specifically about when you start sticking artificial intelligence or organoid intelligence inside of a body, you are now starting to meld something not good with the body. But if you have a prosthetic leg or surgery where they put like a metal plate in your head, or hip surgery, something, you're not doing anything bad. Don't worry about it. So don't worry. This neuromorphic computing system, this will play a major part in AI and cognitive computing, which allows machines to have a more human-like reaction, as well as human-like decision-making in unpredictable environments. So we're at the point now where they're trying to make AI, they're trying to make computers themselves more human-like. Y'all starting to get the sense that they're trying to replace us with computers? Because that's what they've been trying to do. When you look at all the AI stuff, the deep fakes of putting deep fake CGI people, actors on screen, or deep fake AI created music, deep fake created stories, books, and pictures, and AI creating all these things, they're trying to make it so AI can produce the same stuff that humans do, but you don't need the humans anymore. They're trying to eliminate humans without losing the things that humans can do, because they're trying to make us replaceable. And so that's one of the goals of what they're trying to create with AI, is reducing numbers on the planet and not losing out on all the stuff that we can do. It's kind of creepy. They're trying to replace us with AI. Now, as far as we know, they haven't yet combined the OI. So we talked about the DishBrain. They haven't combined the OI with their neuromorphic computing system quite yet. But it seems like that's going to be the next step. They're creating an environment which is going to be recognizable to the organoid intelligence. Why would they be creating that if they don't plan on sticking the organoid intelligence in there? So if you connect the OI into an AI machine that has a system that is similar to the design of the human brain, and then you hook that up to a quantum network, you're talking about bringing something about similar to what we see in iRobot. Now, this is where we get into like the predictive programming stuff. If you've ever seen iRobot, they've got the central AI hub that really looks like a quantum computer type of system that controls hundreds of thousands of these robots that are able to learn, move, think, do everything a human can, and they're all connected to this quantum network that goes throughout the entire city. And it almost looks like that's what they're doing, which wouldn't surprise me. Again, predictive programming, they always tell us what they're trying to accomplish. We've seen it with things like Minority Report, The Matrix, and a bunch of other stuff. We can go on forever on that, but I'm just saying, I think we're getting an idea, a hint of what they're aiming for as far as this AI, OI computing system, along with robotics. Seems like we're getting an idea of that. I don't know how many of you have seen that video of the different AI bots, like Sophia was there and some other ones, and they're actually having a conversation with themselves. They're answering questions that people are asking them. People just are accepting this like it's no big deal. And I'm sitting there going, y'all are nuts. Y'all have lost the marbles. Y'all have lost the plot. Y'all need Jesus. And I mean that. Y'all need Jesus.